Venkatesh, and I'm from Dotup Technology Consulting. We are a ICANN Accreditation consulting firm. I've been in this industry for more than 8 years now in the domain industry. Help tons of clients acquire and mergers of ICANN accredited registrar businesses. Also help companies get ICANN accreditation by applying for in the traditional way. And I have helped a lot of clients in getting ICANN accreditation. So it's been a long time thought for myself that every time when I do a discovery call for a client who is looking at becoming an ICANN registrar, they always have few repetitive questions. I understand because the lack of resources online, which clearly makes it not easy for everybody who is just getting started in the domain industry or would like to start selling domain names. So there are various levels of businesses, but ICANN accreditation is considered as a gold standard for any company which would like to sell domain names or resell domain names to the customers. So I have helped a lot of companies, various types of companies getting ICANN accreditations for many different use cases and many different experience and all sorts of backgrounds. So I will talk in detail about the case studies and use cases of ICANN accreditation and which kind of companies should apply for an ICANN accreditation. And at the end of the webinar, I will also upload the link to this presentation so that if you would like to refer to in the future, you can do so. So let's get started on understanding what is ICANN accreditation and why companies should look for accreditation. So ICANN accreditation, as we said, is a gold standard for any companies who would like to sell domain names to an end user or resell through their channels. It's omni-channel. You can sell through a lot of different sources, through marketplaces, websites. It's not just in the past. It used to be web hosting companies or the dominant players in selling domain names. But at this point of time, there are various different revenue streams and various strategic reasons companies would like to get ICANN accreditation for, and I will discuss in detail about all of these things. So in the next slide, what is ICANN accreditation and why should a company get it? So ICANN accreditation is basically it's a gold standard. It's a mark of trust and credibility. It's given by an organization called ICANN. It's Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers. It's a not-profit organization body which controls most of the naming and the numbering systems, IP addresses and the domain names in the internet. And the naming system for domain names are completely controlled in a regulated framework. And ICANN has a multi-stakeholder model, and the multi-stakeholder model simply means there are various parties with different responsibilities and roles they have to perform in order for the internet to run smoothly. So the first thing is domain names, which is typically an IP of any, or domain name is basically a largest IP any business would own after some period of time. So in order for domain names to be secured and safe with some registrar, before giving license, ICANN gets them through a very rigorous process of application screening and also background verifications and criminal checks and financial status conditions and checks. So why ICANN has to have this kind of serious and very tedious application process in order for company to perform compliance, in order for companies to show their seriousness towards the business. ICANN has the stringent policies. And what is the difference between a reseller and a registrar? So at this point of time, there are various types of companies who sell domain names. Not everybody who wants to sell a domain name has to be a registrar, because a domain registrar business is very financially, it's a heavy investment business. The working capital and the cash flow needs to be very high, and the maintenance cost and everything comes associated with the ICANN accreditation. It's hard for everybody to run a registered business. So a lot of registrar offers options to resell for their reseller networks, and resellers resell domain names. That's a very common practice in the market. For anybody who would like to start small, always choose to resell. But what are the cons of reselling domain names? Is reselling is a very good option to start with for anybody who want to venture into the domain registration service industry. But over a period of time, when you grow more than 4-5 thousand domain names under your portfolio, it's going to be a very costly affair to be a reseller. Rather, when you know being a registrar gives you a very higher margins, and it also opens you a lot of bigger windows in terms of additional revenue sources, and it gives you a responsibility and trust in the market. It gives you a reputation in the market. Companies who get ICANN accreditation goes through such a rigorous process of proving themselves to be qualified as a registrar, which means that they are here to stay in the business and not just shut down tomorrow and go away. So the businesses who would like to do business with the ICANN registrar tend to trust them for this particular reason. So in the next step, I'll show you what are the benefits of being an ICANN registrar. So being an ICANN registrar, it means you get to be the registrar of record or the sponsoring registrar. Who is a sponsoring registrar? A sponsoring registrar is somebody who is managing the domain name directly, and they have the complete authority over the domain name. It can be directly under the registrar. The domain can be registered through their marketplaces, or it can be through a reseller channel. But the registrar of the record is the one who will be visible in the WHOIS. So anybody who's go and check in the WHOIS, who owns the domain name, the registrar is going to be your company name when you apply, when you become a registrar. And this gives you a very good branding opportunity, as well as it gives you an authority which leads you to more business and more leads. Second important thing is, this is the most important part of being a registrar, is getting access to the pool of all the TLDs to connectivity to the registries via the EPP. The extensive provisioning protocol is the protocol which ICANN has implemented between registrars and registry. So what is a registrar? Under registry, it's a simple definition that ICANN follows a multi-stakeholder model. In a multi-stakeholder model, registrar alone cannot control the complete domain name in the DNS. So registries have the responsibility to provide the technical backend for the domain names, and the registrar's core responsibility is to provide customer support and sales and facilitate the sales and management of the domain by the end user. It can be through emails or web portals or any apps or any sort of applications can be used, any sort of mode can be used. So the best part is the connectivity to the EPP, which opens a lot of doors for you. Starting, the first thing is basically you get connected to the EPP. You can register domain name in real time under your own registrar, and it also gives you batch pool access. So if you want to drop catch domain names, you can always drop catch them by using the EPP pool. Since the registrar have very quicker and a faster connectivity, there are registrars like dropcatch.coms, or there is Gname, who all have multiple registrars owned, like hundreds of registrars. And the reason is they have more control towards the EPP, and they can get quicker access to the domain search and registration commands at times of needs. So next, the biggest benefit of being a registrar is basically that you get to buy domain names at cost price. You get to buy domain names in cost price, in the sense this is the cheapest price for any .com, .net or any other TLD, GTLD registration can happen. So for example, like if you become a registrar, you as well as GoDaddy as a registrar are going to get the same price. It's going to be a very straightforward pricing. I can make sure that all the registrars have a fair table, fair game, so that the prices are standardized. And since you get in the cost price, and also most of the times registries do run a lot of promotion programs. Promotion programs are basically they do co-branded marketing programs, they do rebate programs, they give you discounts. A lot of times you might wonder, when you go to sites like GoDaddy, Namecheap, you see domains are sold for $4, $5, whereas usually the cost of a .com is $9.59 with just the registry cost with VeriSign. So in this case, how do they sell at this loss price? But if you see, usually it comes with the term that you have to do 2-year registrations or something like that. But yeah, these all are rebate programs which are partnered with the registries, and registrars work hand in hand. in order to make sure that the marketing efforts reach the mass audience and you are able to acquire more customer base. So the intention of the registries to work with registrar is to increase the number of domain registrations and also the renewal rate in the follow up on years, so that the registrars can make sure they get more business, as well as the registry gets more sustainable growth. Next biggest benefit of being an ICANN accredited registrar is that it's a highly brandable business. The business is very highly brandable. You being a registrar, you get to put the ICANN accredited registrar logo in the website, and you get to attend various ICANN events across the years. You can also choose to exhibit in the ICANN general body meetings with a booth and stuff. Or if you want to do marketing, online marketing, if you put as an ICANN accredited registrar in the meta description or a meta titles in your landing pages, it has added a lot of good benefits for registrar in terms of acquiring more customers. Acquiring customers for a registrar business is not very difficult because it's very highly brandable. A lot of ideas are out there. Registrars use the strategies, business marketing and marketing strategies work out in favorable when you also, it's a cherry on the top when you have an ICANN accreditation with you. The next benefit you have is being a more having more control over the domain names. So as an ICANN accredited registrar, you have more control over the domain names. So you get to as a registrar, you have access over the domain name in terms of who is, like anybody searches in the who is, you're going to be coming out there as a registrar on record. Then in case of any suspension of domain names or any activities of fraud or spam, scam, anything comes across, it's all going to be managed by yourself. So you have more control over the domain name, and you can take actions which makes it easier for you to manage your business. So these are the benefits you have as a, and also one more thing, as a when you have more control over the domain name, this is a very important point a lot of registrars should know, is about the aftermarket of domains. If you are a registrar, if you're a reseller, you do not get access to the domain which doesn't get renewed. You can always put it on an aftermarket for an auction, and if there is somebody is interested, so there are companies like Afternic or Sedo which helps you in aftermarketing the domain name to add more revenue. Those marketplaces do revenue share with you, which increases your chances of making more revenue in an indirect way. It's not just about registration of domains and renewals of domains. There are various other revenue streams which comes up when you become a registrar. So aftermarket is one of the options. When one of your domain doesn't get renewed by the customer, it's going to get deleted. Before getting deleted, if you put it on an aftermarket, the chances of you getting it sold to a different domainer or some other company who's interested in acquiring that domain, it makes your job easy. So next we have is additional revenue opportunities, which we were actually talking just a few seconds ago. So as an additional revenue opportunities, there are a lot of things you can do. Sell add-on products, you can sell hosting with the domain names. I'll talk about hosting of domain names in a little bit. It's a very interesting fact. So you can sell DNS, premium DNS. You can also sell SSL certificates, and there are various other products. You can sell website builders. All together, bundle them. You can have a marketplace which has cobras for selling, upselling, cross-selling. So you can sell. Domain name is an entryway product. I always say this to my clients. Domain is basically, in most cases, a low margin or a no margin business. You do not make money from domain names, but you rather make money from selling domain names and also selling additional products like hosting, SSL certificates, all on top of it. So if you see in hosting, it's 95% margin in most cases when you sell shared hosting or this WordPress hostings and stuff. But in terms of domain names, that's why most of the registrars gives away even domain names for free, because they're going to acquire customers when they buy hosting. So when you buy hosting, domains comes for free, but the cost is actually accumulated into the hosting price. It's one of the marketing strategies used by most of the registrars. It's in the registrar's playbook. So next opportunity for you as a registrar is again about the aftermarket. You can resell those domain names in the aftermarket. You can have parking revenue. If there is any domain name expired, you can park those domain for parking revenue. There are various other options you can, and so one of another interesting thing is corporate domains and also domain brand management. So portfolio management of domains for corporates is also one of a very big revenue stream, and also trademark and copyrights infringements. So these are all another streams of revenue for every registrar. So these are the benefits of becoming a registrar. So let's jump on to the next slide. So in the next slide, we're going to talk about who should apply for ICANN accreditation. So I have like 3 sets of clients, and there are from different vectors altogether. So there are web hosting companies who always become a registrar traditionally. Web hosting companies who sell shared hostings or VPS hostings, dedicated hostings, or data center companies, or PBN hostings. I know website builders or cloud hosting solutions like AWS. All these companies become registrar. Traditionally, all of these companies become registrar because web hosting company, the easiest way for anybody to acquire a client is by selling domain names. If you can gain the trust of a customer by selling domain names, selling other additional products on top of it becomes very easy, because anybody who want to have their biggest IP they own for their business, which is their domain name, they want to have it in a very secure and trustworthy place. If you are worth their trust, they're going to buy all the other products from you. It's going to follow up, and the revenue streams are going to be very high. So traditionally, I have seen a lot of web hosting companies which focuses on web hosting starts reselling. There are registrars currently who are accredited registrars, manages more than millions of domain names, and they all offer reselling options to their customers, and they also provide technical infrastructure features, solutions for the resellers to integrate the domain reselling options into their websites and sell in their marketplaces. So web hosting company traditionally resell when they are small. Eventually, when they grow big, have more than a 4,000-5,000 domains portfolio, they feel the heat of paying more money and making less margins, and the registrar they are buying the domain is directly competing with them, and they own all their database and the customer base and everything. So if anything goes wrong, the database is still with the registrar. They can go behind the customers. Yes, there are white label solutions, agreements and things, but most of the registrars who has resellers tend to not really be ethical in this case. We have come across many such incidents where registrars poach resellers customers, and also you are relying on somebody as a service provider when you have like 5,000-6,000 domains. If any incident is going to create a big loss for the business. So taking over more, it's backward integration in general terms. In management terms, if you want to get more control over your business as a web hosting company, it's always smart to become a registrar, and you will save more money over a period of time. Secondly, there are SaaS companies which become a registrar. You might wonder which kind of SaaS companies. There is, if you start with Shopify, Wix, even AWS, Google Cloud, Squarespace, everybody is a registrar. Everybody sells domain names. Zoho is one of the largest SaaS company, provides CRMs, emails, business solutions, automation solutions for businesses, ERPs. They are also a registrar, ICANN registrar. They sell domain names to their customers together with their suite of products. So SaaS companies, they become a registrar. I have seen payment gateway companies become a registrar. Companies like Microsoft Azure become a registrar. They all sell domain names to their customers with the products integrated with them. I have recently come across clients who were looking at becoming a registrar. They were considered becoming a registrar because they were selling business registration solutions. And there are companies who are trademark registration service providers, and they became a registrar. So these companies become a registrar because they want to provide value to the customers. So the end user can also buy the domain name who they already trust. There are companies which are, so the trademark registration service provider companies, they're trustworthy in the market because they do a larger transaction. So somebody want to buy a $10, $20 domain name, they would trust them and buy them with them. So it's a very interesting market. And next is domainers, and there are few more like Web3 companies, and there is drop catch companies. The list goes long, but I'll give a little bit idea about domainers. Why it's a traditionally I have seen like few domainers become a registrar and they manage their own domains under their own registrar. It is a very smart move to be a registrar and manage your own domain names. If at all any suspensions or any trademark compliance or anything happens as a domainer, you have more leverage over your domain names when you are a registrar. And the cost adds up, but few transactions just offsets the price on a yearly basis for you, and it wouldn't make a much smaller sense for you to become a registrar. It'll make a great difference. Next is Web3 companies. There are recently Web3 domain names has come. Like there are various companies in the market. Web3 registrars provide Web3 registration service and even handshake domain names. Recently, I know GoDaddy started crypto wallets can be creating through their regular conventional DNS system through registration of domain names. You can create your crypto wallets. There are bunch of other companies who are in the Web3 market, and all these companies are also thinking about becoming a registrar in the recent days, so that they can probably make another additional revenue streams. And there is drop catch registrars. This is a very interesting market. There are dropcatch.com, which has like more than 400 accreditations, I believe, and there are a couple of more registrars who has tons of accreditations under them, because they act as a marketplace for drop catching expired domain names, deleted domain names, and they have to do it in the batch pool, and also at the fraction of seconds in the EPP the moment it drops. So it's an interesting market, and if you would like to get more faster access to the EPP, becoming a registrar is the only solution. There is no other go. Then there are options that if you become a registrar in a conventional way, let's say you are a web hosting company, companies like Afternic would like to lease your registrar EPP pool, so that they can also keep drop catching domain names in your registrar when they are idle and not having much traffic, so that when they catch some domains under your registrar, they tend to share the revenue with you. So these are the additional revenue streams it also comes up with. So now I explained who all these companies who should apply for an ICANN accreditation. Now in the next step, let's go to what are the steps to become an ICANN accredited registrar. So you all might think like, okay, now I think I kind of have an understanding on why I should become a registrar. What are the benefits which comes with becoming an ICANN accredited registrar? But now I'm going to show you what are the steps involved in becoming a registrar. The step one, you have to start filling out an ICANN accreditation application form. So I will explain in the later stage. I want to keep this webinar purely informational and nothing related to in terms of business or promoting services. So we'll talk about my services at the end of the video. If you're interested, you can always contact us and we can help you out with. But here the first step is preparing an application form. So this application form, in the later stages of the webinar in the next coming weeks, I'm going to talk in detail about the application form on one webinar, just about the application form and every stages of the application form, and what all details are needed. It's a 20-25 page application form. If you fill up, it's gonna come up to like 90 pages at the end of the day, and you have to put together a lot of documents, supporting documents, ID forms, ID cards of the national IDs, and also financial statements, tax returns, and so and so documents, bank statements and such stuff. So these things all have to be prepared and put together in a package, and then the next step 2 is to submit the package. Once you submit this application, you can send it through an email or a conventional mail, courier, or you can even send a fax to them, and its emails are pretty easier. You can scan the documents and put it as a package and send it to them, and once you send it to them, ICANN will acknowledge the application in a couple of days, and then in few days they will do a first stage of review, and in the first stage of review everything looks good, then they will send you an invoice for $3,500, a non-refundable application fee. So once you pay that application fee, then they will start processing your application, It's a fourth stage where the application processing starts. There are total of 11 phases of application processing stages, which I'll discuss in the future. I'll show step by step like how we process application, what stages it goes through, uh, which is the most complicated part, and how to navigate through bad this serious application forms. So all these things comes together, and we go through the processing of 3 to 4 months. Between this 3 to 4 months, ICANN will also do a background verification. They do a criminal background verification, civil records they check, and if there is any felony or any convictions in the past or any pending legal cases in dispute, they come back with a list of any concerns they have, and if the registrar is able to justify everything and there is no black records, and the application form itself would have asked that there is no any felony or criminal activities or anything done in the past 10 years, and you have, and if at all the registrar has said yes, then probably the chances of them becoming a registrar is very slim, because I can do not encourage such application. The background verification is done only on the directors and officers and executives level officers, and also the owners of the company. Employees doesn't have to go through the verification background check. Then after everything has been done, the application forms looks justifiable in the information provided and the intention for the business plan, and everything seems falls under place. ICANN approves it most cases, because in our case, like when I file personally an application, we make sure that everything is just in place. So without worrying, you can apply in this case, because 95% the application is always approved. I have never seen a failure in the past. The reason simply is, before applying we know if this application going to be is approved or not, so which just gives an added advantage. So these are the stages of the application. You need to know how to navigate the ICANN accreditation. In the next step, we will see case studies on uh, companies who are ICANN registrars, what they are looking at, what is their business model, how they see value in being a registrar. So first example, we'll start with some web hosting companies. We have Hostinger, Bluehost, HostGator. These all are ICANN registrars as well. Their primary business is web hosting and shared hosting or VPS, WordPress hosting, dedicated hostings, and all these servers. But they also sell domain names, because they see domain name as a gateway product for any customer, and also it's a value-added services to their customer. There are conventionally a lot of web hosting companies always tend to become a registrar at some period of time, and it is always smart to become the break-even point. In the later stages of the webinar, we will talk about the break-even point for a registrar. We'll also talk about the financial models and financial planning. But if you see eventually a registrar, any web hosting company which has 7,000 plus domains under their management, 7,000 is a break-even point. So we will discuss in the future videos why 7,000 is the break-even point. We'll show the detailed calculation on how to do it. And so yes, domain helps in customer acquisition. It's very easy. So that's why web hosting companies always become a registrar. Next is domain registration websites. So companies like GoDaddy, Namecheap, eNorm, they are primarily domain registration service providers. They came into the market saying that they want to be the best domain name registrar in the market, and eventually they also started selling add-on products like web hosting, SSLs, emails, and a lot of other products, Who's Privacy, Premium DNS solutions, and all sorts of things. So now, since they become a registrar from day one, it gives them a lot more control over the domains. They have more margin over the domain registrations, and they were able to build the trust among the customer very fast. And that's why being a registrar helped GoDaddy, Namecheap, eNorm, or Gandy.com, all these companies from day one. And it's not just the companies like GoDaddy, Namecheap, eNorm are in the market. So there are totally close to somewhere around 4,000 plus accredited companies. Out of them, if you ask me, there are 400 websites at least sell actively the domain names. There are many of them are shell registrars as well. We'll detailedly discuss about every use cases of the registrar in the future. So that time you will know why there are so many registrars and there are so few marketplaces which actively sell domain names. If you see, there are companies like yeah, we're talking about GoDaddy and Namecheap. So they become a registrar from day one, and there are 400 such company websites which sell domain names actively as a registrar as of today. And next use case is website builders. Recently, Wix, Shopify, Squarespace, and many such DIY website builders companies, they all have become a registrar. Like Zoho have even become a registrar. We'll talk about Zoho in the SaaS business case study, but then Wix, Shopify, Squarespace, or many other companies have become a registrar because they found value in being a registrar, because when somebody is building their website with them, it's just natural they also buy their domain name with them and manage them all in one place rather than having multiple vendors and multiple invoices to take care of. And the prices are also a part of the services they provide, so it just makes sense for them. So it's very natural if you're selling anything related to like low code, no code platforms, you probably should consider becoming a registrar. If you are selling a website builder e-commerce platform like Squarespace, Shopify, or any other ones, you should consider becoming a registrar. This opens a lot of doors for you. Being a registrar has more control, and the customers retention rate gets very higher. So next case study we have is SaaS businesses. Again, in SaaS businesses, if you see AWS, Microsoft Azure, companies like OnPassive, Zoho CRM is a ICANN accredited registrar. There was an incident which is the reason why Zoho became a registrar as well. At some point of time, Namecheap or some other registrar suspended the domain of the Zoho.com for some couple of days, I believe, I don't remember, but it created a huge loss for them, and they intend to then become a registrar and eventually started selling domain names to their customer base as well. And they also gave free domain names also for their customer base for a period of time. So it's a very good acquisition strategy. If you also see, there are email marketing platforms like MailChimp also provide domain registration service. They're not a registrar yet, but if one day probably they should also probably consider becoming a registrar, maybe. And there are a couple of other companies who are giving domain names with their payment platforms. Probably they should also consider becoming a registrar at some point of time, because it adds more control towards the business you're doing. It's naturally it's good to go towards the backward integration and be a registrar and have more sustainable business model. So here are the case studies we have, and in the next step, this is one of the most important thing I want to discuss as a registrar. In the later stages of the webinar, we're going to talk about the registrar business model and financial plans, business plans, everything in detail. We'll break down everything, but here is a small introduction about how does a registrar business model work. Because if you go to internet right now and start searching for what is a registrar business model, how to become a registrar, there is very much a lack of information, which doesn't give a web hosting company or a smaller reseller company, they don't have the right information online to find out how to become a registrar or why to become a registrar or how to start a registrar. So I'm going to talk to you about a book I'm writing in the future, which is going to be published in a month or so, which will give a detail on the topic of the book is ICANN Accreditation Made Easy. It's going to talk about all the topics in becoming a registrar, but here is a small idea about what is a registrar business model. So ICANN is a non-profit organization which controls and regulates the internet, both namings and numbering systems. So in terms of naming system for domain names, ICANN have a multi-stakeholder model. There is registrars and there is registries. There are few more stakeholders, but primarily right now we need to know only about registrars and registries. So who is a registrar? A registrar is a company who is focusing on selling domain names primarily, and managing and giving support, customer support, and collecting payments from the end user for selling those domain names. Registrars need to get ICANN accreditation. They can apply for an accreditation at any point of time if they can demonstrate compliance and also have enough knowledge to run a registrar business and have financial stability. They get to become a registrar. Similarly, A registry is a company who manages a TLD. So there is .com. VeriSign is a company which manages the .com TLD. As a registry, what they do is they manage the DNS and the technical backend for the domain names to resolve in the internet. If you search, let's say xyz.com today, it's simply gonna take you to the internet and search for the domain name. It doesn't come to a registrar. The DNS system works in a multi client server model, and every request and response, and it goes to the hierarchy and asks for it and comes back and retrieve. I do not have to explain that right now, but yes, so registry is the one manages the root servers for the .coms, like for any TLDs, and VeriSign manages for .com, PIR manages for .org. There are like 5 important ones. VeriSign, PIR, CentralNIC, Identity Digital, and also GoDaddy Registry, Radix, and there are a few more registrars. So, sorry, registries. So all these registries are the ones who manages the zones for each TLD. So now a registrar who is accredited to sell domain names will get direct access to the technical backend of the registry through EPP. It's called as Extensive Provisioning Protocol, designed by ICANN just for the purpose of secure communication between a registrar and a registry for secure transaction and domain registration. So there is thin registries, thick registries. We'll talk about all in the coming future webinars, but right now there is registrars and registries. Registrars primarily sell domains. Registries provide the backend technical zone for the domains. So below registrars can choose the business model of 2 options. One, they can be a reseller, a white label reseller provider, and other one they can be they can sell it to the end customer. So whichever business model the registrar chooses, they have those type of customers. They can do B2B or B2C. So customers are directly managed by the registrar. The domains of the resellers are also directly managed by the registrar, but they are white label solution. They do not directly communicate with the end user, which only a reseller will do. So this is the business model of an ICANN accredited registrar. They will get access to the TLDs from the registry. Every single registrar get the same pricing. There is no competition in terms of pricing, like there is no partiality or some sort of things in terms of pricing. Every registrar gets the same fair price, and also the same kind of marketing plans and promotional pricing. All are standardized for all the registrars, so that there can be a fair competition. And also registrar's main job is to go and find customers to sell domain names, and they can make their margin out of it. So this is the current model of business, because most of the customers who they come to me, they ask this first question is that when they become a registrar, they get to register domains for 18 cents. It just doesn't happen that way, because when you see that you don't directly buy domain from ICANN, it's not yes, the registrars pay 18 cents to ICANN as an ICANN fee, but on top of it you also have to pay the registry operator for the cost of the technical backend, and this fees is approved by ICANN. So the cheapest you can ever buy is basically is whatever every registrar gets. The next slide I'm going to show you about what is the cheapest price of a .com in the market, and I'll also talk to you about how registrars get access to domains for like $4, $5 and all. But what is the standardized price and what is subsidized price? We'll talk in the next slide. So I hope you guys are clear about what is the registrar's business model. We'll take questions in some time, and probably you guys will have a lot of questions. Maybe I can help you in answering them. So in the next slide, if you see, I have what is the price of a .com right now as a registrar you want to get. If you are an ICANN ICANN accredited registrar, the price of a .com right now is $9.77. Exactly $9.77. It consists of $9.59, which is the fee you pay to VeriSign. The GoDaddy, Namecheap, or any company which is a registrar has to pay this $9.59 to VeriSign to be a registrar, to register a domain name. Similarly, ICANN charges 18 cents per domain year for as an ICANN fee. So comprising that, you get $9.77. Next, in September 1st, every couple of years, VeriSign increases the price. Similarly, every registry increases the price of the domains, TLDs, but it's same for every registrars. So eventually it's going to become $10.35 as the price probably in September of this year. But currently this is the price if you become a registrar. Yes, the next step is registries provide co-branded marketing programs and rebate programs. What is a rebate program? A rebate program is when they give you a target of registering a certain volume of domain names in a subsidized price or a discounted price, probably at $4. But this is a rebate program, so if you meet that volume at the end of the quarter, they're going to give you a rebate back for certain dollars. So let's say if there is a $5 rebate program, they're going to give you $5 back per domain registered if you meet the terms and conditions of their marketing program. So that's how you see registrars sell for $4, $5 in their website. They're not taking a loss. They're working with the registry on a co-branded marketing program. What is a co-branded marketing program? Where if you see in more registrars websites like GoDaddy, you might also see VeriSign's logo in it or .com's logo in it. Because those are all like you are promoting a certain TLD with having a certain specific landing pages for those registries, which probably giving them a co-branded marketing opportunity, which gives them edge over the other TLDs. So probably they give you a subsidized price for those TLDs. Or sometimes I have seen in the past that registries like .xyz registry, sometimes they do flash sale for like selling 10 cents, 20 cents for a .xyz domain registration for the first year. In such cases, what they do is they simply do like 50% share in terms of Google ads and the Facebook ads you run for those certain flash day sales. So probably if you spend like $2,000, they will give you a chip in for $1,000. I think that's a very fair opportunity also for you to do a co-branded marketing with them and earn some money, like share some cost benefits as well. So finally, this is the price you will pay as a registrar for .com, and probably this is the lowest price you will ever find. And I'm going to talk to you about now what I'm going to cover in the next webinar, which is how to apply for an ICANN accreditation. We're going to talk about the eligibility, criteria, preparation, documents and checklist and everything. This is on Saturday of 30th March, next week Saturday at the same time. If you would like to join, please RSVP in the website. Thank you so much. It's been really great talking to you guys, explaining. Now is the time I'll go back to you guys and ask if you have.
Thank you for the very detailed discussion, and it's a great opportunity to ask those questions. Thank you for this initiative to start the series of webinars. It's really important
Thank you
for
so much.
the startup companies like ours, which also enjoy your consultancy. How is the like typical margin for the registrar is calculated? How much typically a certain registrar or reseller add to this registry domain price?
So at this point, the margin is typically between. I can give you a very industry standard margin is 15 to 20%. So if you are reselling as a business model, your margin is going to be even more lesser, because there the number of volume will compensate for the deficit of margin. There are players who does this exact same gameplay of increasing the volume through reselling channels and decreasing the margin to even probably for like 2%, 1.5%. But as a end user selling business, your margin you are looking at somewhere between 15 to 20%. And this is only for probably for .com and .net, .org. For other TLDs, the margins are probably even more higher, because if you see even today, .com and .net are like the king of the domain industry. Like they sell a lot, and I'll even in the later stage I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about why .com is still a king. But if you see the margins for selling a .com right now is 15 to 20%. And secondly, if you are a hosting company who sell domain name, probably if you give for the first year free, second year you can have it for a 25-30% marked up margin as well. It's a very observed factor that when customers have a auto debit through their credit cards in their in the registrar's website, and it's auto debit for payments, they do not really consider few cents. They just don't, like, it's just they don't penny pick on like few cents or a few dollars when they renew the domain names. They just feel it's in a trustworthy place. That's it. It's a very absurd factor. People don't transfer the domain names just because the domain name costing $1 more than the previous year.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Hey Chris, do you have any questions?
No, I think you've covered most of it. I'm going through your documents today actually to see when we can actually start accreditation, because it would be useful to try and see if we can get that done this year.
All right. Sounds good. It was really great talking to you guys. I'm going to upload this video online so that others can see. I saw a bunch of people subscribe for the RSVP for the webinar, but probably they couldn't make it. And I hope in the future there are more people joining us and it becomes a more interactive session.
Thank you. I think these are very useful, because I do definitely know that the ICANN accreditation isn't well documented online. Like, there is literally almost no resources for it. So this is actually really useful for just the community at large.
Yeah. Hi. Yes, Igor.
Yeah, I would like to ask another question about
Sure.
the DNS server versus the hosting. Not quite clear to me at the moment what's the difference. For example, if you sell a domain, you could get a free of charge DNS server. What's the difference between DNS server and the web hosting service?
So web hosting service is basically if you want to host your website, like a WordPress website, where you want to upload like a web pages, images, videos, and all sorts of things, and have a proper website or any web application, you need to have a web hosting server. It's usually like a cPanel server is a very common thing, or a Plus panel server, Windows or a Linux. But DNS is probably just for managing your domain's DNS through a name server. Like as a registrar, you will have a name server for each domain, and on top of it, you might also provide a DNS server which resolves the domain name into different services. For example, the IP address of the domain name is a record, which is managed in the DNS zone of the domain, which is through the DNS service you provide. MX records for emails, or CNAME records, or anything for redirection, or any the NS records. There are a bunch of records which a DNS servers can be added, TXT records and all. So all those are managed under the DNS service. So DNS service is a separate service. Web hosting is a very separate service.
Thank you.
Yes, Chris.
It's a very quick one with DNS side of things, because I absolutely hate managing DNS. It's just, and when it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Yes.
So I use a
And
third-party service for
DDoS
DNS.
is a nightmare, if always.
So I use a third-party service for DNS, Bunny DNS, to be fair, because they're amazing. Can we still use a third-party service, or do we have to implement a DNS server for ICANN to work?
No, you can use a third-party service, and I do not promote anybody, but I have seen in the past my clients use DNS Made Easy, which was pretty decent. There is Anycast DNS from a Czech Republic-based company that's pretty decent. There is Cloudflare, but it's pretty expensive. So DNS Made Easy, which is part of, I think, DigiCert. It's a pretty trustworthy company. They do a good job, but just have to make sure is one thing is that you are paying for a very premium DNS, then your cost is going to be high. When if you're having if your payment plan is not a flat fee rather than a pay as you go service, then there'll be if you have e-commerce sites in your portfolio, then they're going to bombard you with number of queries, then your prices are going to go high. So there are pros and cons about having your own DNS server, but DDoS attack is one big headache. If you are a web hosting company and you have huge volume of customer base, eventually one day it is smarter to have your own DNS server in multiple locations, geolocations in the world. It comes with great power comes great responsibility, as we say. Then you have to make a choice of if you want to have your own DNS server, or you want to buy from a third party, because third party services they do provide comes with 99.99% service level agreement. They have a very strict and they have the infrastructure also for it, which is pretty expensive to deploy for a smaller The cost will be very high if you wanted to have it on your own. It should be justifiable if you're a business.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys?
No, I think you've answered all mine. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. So it was a very interesting meeting we had today, and looking forward to talk to you guys in the future as well in the coming weeks. And subscribe to probably to my YouTube channel. Probably you can get more content out there as well in the coming days. And as I said, I'm publishing a book in the coming weeks. It's called as ICANN Accreditation Made Easy. It's going to be available on Amazon as well as as an ebook and also in Flipkart, and also as an audiobook in Audible. If you are looking forward to it, I'll let you guys know when it is going to be published. Nice talking to you guys. Have a great weekend ahead, and bye bye.